propose is 10:30 according to my Apple time. I'll let these two come in and seat, and then I'll start the meeting then. Okay, if we're all sitting comfortably then, it's 10:31, not 10:30. In Lincolnshire County Council, it is Monday the 6th of December 2021. Planning and Regulation Committee is the meeting you're listening to, watching via webcast or wherever. I am Councillor Ian Fleetwood, the Chairman of the committee. I have a few notes here that I'm just going to whiz through for you. We've got some officers present at the meeting. Robert Close is our Democratic Services Officer, Jan Gibson, the Programme Leader for Minor Works and Traffic, Martha Rees from Legal, and Neil McBride, Head of Planning. Obviously for members, we've had fire alarms earlier in the day, so if you hear a fire alarm going, please exit the building to the front, and we will meet up outside and hopefully have a head count and everybody will be present. As far as members are concerned, they're reminded to press buttons when they speak. Obviously the nameplates are in front of you, so they should be picked up with the various captions. Item 1 is apologies replacement members, and I believe we have apologies from Councillor Paul Skinner and Councillor Robert Reid. Is there anybody else? Seeing a no to that one, that's excellent. I don't believe there are any replacement members for those two councillors. Item 2 is declarations of members' interests. I don't think I have anything to declare at this moment in time. Is there anybody else that would like to declare? Councillor Carrington, please.
Thank you, Chairman. In relation to item 5.2 on the agenda, I'm a member of North Kesteven District Council, which is an objector to the application, but I have had no discussions with the District Council about the matter, and I come to this meeting with an open mind.
Thank you. Seeing nobody else. Oh, there, sorry, Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Chairman. I have a interest to declare in terms of the speed limit reduction and it's gone from my head, do bear with me. When the computer wants to work. Torxy Lock, as Sir Edward Lee has been involved in the matter and I work for him part-time, but I have had no discussions on the subject with Sir Edward or anybody else. So I have an open mind. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. I'll therefore move on to item 3, which is minutes of the previous meeting of the planning regulation held on the 1st of November. I'm quite happy to move these. I don't know, is there anybody else that would like to second them? I'll look around, 1,001 hands. Councillor Sear. So we'll go from there. Is there any dissenters from that? Okay, so I'll just take that as simply a majority vote. So I'll move on therefore to item 4, traffic items. And the first one we're going to deal with is 4.1, Morton A15, Hanworth Road and High Street proposed waiting restrictions. That's pages 13 to 18. So whenever you're ready, Jan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Jan Gibson, Programme Leader for Minor Works and Traffic. This report relates to proposed waiting restrictions on the A15 at Morton. Next slide, please. So we're just north of Bourne. Next slide, please. So the proposal involves double yellow lines as shown in red on this plan. Sorry. Sorry about that. I'll try, yeah. Yes, to which we've had one objection. The objector believes that the restrictions, restrictions should apply for a further distance on the High Street to the north, on the A15 to the north of High Street on the east side. We're always mindful when introducing restrictions on the potential effect on local businesses, and particularly the fish and chip shop there. And we feel that the extent proposed is sufficient to achieve the aims of the scheme, but not affect the business. It's therefore recommended that this committee overrules the objection and approves this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I know the road well. I use it on the way here. There has been more activity at the crossroads in recent years since the co-op store was built, and I'm happy to move it.
Thank you, in which case I'm quite happy to second it. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak? Seeing nobody, I'll therefore offer it to the vote. All in favour, please show now. Thank you. Anybody against? Any abstentions? Okay, so I think that one's clearly carried. Thank you. I'll therefore move you to item 4.2, which is Torxy Lock A156 and A1133 proposed speed limit reduction. Again, Jan, please.
Thank you. So this is a proposed 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. Next slide, please, Rob. So at the intersection of the A1133 and the A156 is Torxy Lock. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Currently, there is a 50-mile-an-hour limit throughout this section, and speed surveys have indicated that the northern section does comply with a 40-mile-an-hour limit, but on the A1133 and further south on the A156, we've got borderline cases. So the purpose of this report is to request approval of this committee for us to pursue a 40-mile-an-hour limit where those borderline cases are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In our midst, we have Councillor Richard Bootroyd, who wishes to speak to the application as the local member for Gainsborough Rural South. The floor is yours, Richard.
Thank you, Chairman. This has been, as most councillors know, we always have things that local residents really support and campaign for. This is one of them for me. This has won the support, as Councillor Smith recognised earlier, of Sir Edward Lee, myself and the District Councillor. We have elderly residents that are all along the side of this road, and they use and have to cross this road quite often because the bus stop obviously sits at the other side of it. So there's a 90-degree bend running down to where this proposed reduction takes place, coming in, and it really is what I consider hazardous to cross this road if you're anywhere near this bus stop. So I do support this. I hope that the planning committee will support this reduction, and I wait to see what happens. Thank you. Unless anyone's got any questions further.
Thank you for your comments, Councillor Bootroyd. I think we had a similar scenario at North Creekwell a meeting or two ago, whereby there was a bus stop on either side of the road, and yes, it is the ability to see the traffic coming in both directions, and also for people to actually cross the road. So I'm quite happy to support this, and I will move the recommendation that we put the approved reduction in speed limit in place. Seconded by Councillor Mrs Newton. Would anybody like to speak? Councillor Mrs Austin, please.
I'm not speaking either for or against it, but for those, all right, I will have been to Torxy sometime in my life, but it might be helpful if we could have an image, whether it's on screen or in our meeting papers, of the actual situation, rather than just seeing it in the map situation. But obviously I don't want to put officers to a lot of expense or difficulty. Thank you.
Thank you. Appendix A shows the larger area in relation to the area, but okay, there is no photograph effectively of the area. I know the site very well. I've travelled it often, so I have no difficulty with my proposal. But yes, I hear what you say. Okay, so we'll take it to the vote then. All in favour, please show now. Thank you. I think that is unanimous. It is. Thank you very much. So that therefore completes the traffic items, and we will now change officers and move over onto the planning section of the meeting. And I assume Mr McBride, you're ready. So I'll therefore move on to item 5.1, which is a supplementary report for sidetrack drilling operation, associated testing and long-term oil production at Landolph High Street, Biscathorpe. So whenever you are ready, Mr McBride.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, councillors. Sorry my voice is a bit croaky this morning, so hopefully you can hear me through the presentation of this paper. So the purpose for the paper is to bring for the committee's consideration this morning a reason for refusal following the resolution of the committee on the 1st of November in respect of the application for a sidetrack drilling operation, associated testing and long-term oil production at Landolph High Street at Biscathorpe. Committee will recall the discussion that took place on the 1st of November, and the recommendation part of the paper sets out the reason for refusal that was based on the discussion at the committee on the 1st of November. Hopefully I've captured the points that were raised during that discussion and have put them in a reason for refusal that picks up the relevant policies and the issues that that the committee had concerns about at the meeting. The only thing that I would comment on, the last paragraph and the last sentence, I've made a reference in the reason in relation to noise, because that's what was discussed at the committee. My recommendation to you this morning is that you don't include noise as a reason for refusal, on the basis that, having reviewed the documents, it would be very difficult to bring forward a defence in relation to noise. Clearly, the other issues that the committee raised in relation to visual impact and illumination, as you'll see in the recommended reason for refusal, they are picked up, and I think that they can be a case can be brought forward to defend that. But in relation to noise, my advice to the committee is that you don't continue with that, because I think that would be very difficult to defend. But obviously the decision is over to the committee. So that's all I've got to say. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you for your wise words, Mr McBride. I'm quite happy to move this recommendation for refusal, but with the amendment extracting the noise issue. I believe that we do need to get on and deliver the reason to the applicant, so that and also to the public, so that everyone has some surety of where this council stands with the application. So I'm therefore quite happy to propose the recommendation and the report, but excluding the noise factor. Would anybody like to speak to the report or second? Councillor Mrs Austin, please.
Yeah, I'm happy to second what you said, and if because I don't have a lot to say, if I may follow it straight away, I don't particularly recall noise being the main issue that that was the reason for our objection, those of us who did object. So, you know, we refer to the two policies. I haven't brought my policy book with me this morning, but I don't think noise was the one that really was was the important one, the key one, shall we say, the decider. So I will second what you have proposed.
Thank you very much. So it's proposed and seconded. Do we have any other speakers? Seeing none, I will therefore offer it to the meeting. All in favour of the recommendation, please show now. Thank you, and that is unanimous. Thank you very much. I will say, anybody against, any abstentions? And of course I should see no hands, and I don't see any hands, so that's good. So therefore, thank you very much, Mr McBride, on that one. I'll therefore move you on to the next application, which is 5.2, to retain and regularise the leisure facilities at Embryo Angling Habitats, which is at Norton, Disney and Haltwood. And, Mr Willis.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll just wait for the slides to appear on screen. Thank you. On.
Come on, Rob.
A couple more. There we go. Thank you. Yes, my name's Mark Willis. I'm the applications manager within the planning team. I'm presenting this item this morning. The application, as I say, is to by Embryo Angling Habitats to retain some leisure facilities that have been installed in the former quarry at Norton Disney. This first slide just shows you a broad location of the site. It sits approximately 10 kilometres southwest of Lincoln and just to the north of the village of Norton Disney. The site's a former quarry, as I say, which has now ceased working and been restored to a series of fishing lakes. The restoration was completed in around 2018 and is now currently in a period of aftercare, which extends beyond the statutory 5 years to a 10-year, which has been secured by a 106 agreement. Have the next slide, please. Thank you. This plan just gives you a broad indication of the locations of the various elements which make up the proposal, which include entrance gate, internal gates, a lodge and welfare facilities, toilet block, and refreshments cart. Next slide, please. This picture just gives you an image of the entrance gates. This is an automated sliding gate, provides access to the site, giving public access to those parts of the site which have permissive paths and the bird hide. So that's a separate arrangement to the angling facility. Next slide, please. Again, secondary gates there. These are again automated for use by the anglers only, providing access. Next slide. This is Otter Gate that's been installed to restrict access by otters into the site, which obviously have a potential threat to the fishing lakes activity. And again, automated, only accessible by pre-registered anglers visiting the site. Next slide. It's just a plan showing the location, well, a layout of the welfare facilities, the lodge, the toilet block, and the refreshments vehicle cabin that would be on site. Next slide. And these are just show you what's installed effectively with the facilities that are in place. As you can see, comprise of combination of steel-clad units with wooden exterior. If you could slide through the next one, please. Again, just another image, and the next, and the next again, and compost toilet there. With regard to the consultation, they're set out on page 153 and 54. You'll see that as Norton Disney Parish Council support the proposal, no objections have been raised from any of the other responding consultees, including the Environment Agency and Highways, and no representation from members of the public received. The main objection, if you like, is on from North Stephen District Council, who've raised an issue in respect to consider that this item should be dealt with the District Council rather than the County Council, on the basis that they feel that the proposal does not have a specific restoration or aftercare implication with regards to the former mineral site. Notwithstanding that, if the committee are minded to process the application, they've requested that should permission be granted, that conditions be imposed to ensure that any retail sales from the food outlet and the lodge in terms of fishing goods and supplies be limited and the hours of use be imposed, and more crucially that no permitted development rights be allowed to allow potential changes of use into potentially residential use in the future. So dealing with the main issue, which is the objection from the District Council, officers have looked at and are satisfied that it is within the remit and right of the right authority for the county to deal with it. The site is a formal mineral working, and as I said at the outset, is still within a period of its aftercare programme, and therefore until such time it remains actively a site that the County Council has a legitimate interest in. Within paragraph 18 of the report, you'll see that it explains that Schedule 1 of the Town and Country Planning Act makes clear what constitutes a county matter, and that includes where a development or proposal has the potential to impact or impede on a former, on the restoration of or use of a former quarry. And the county's position is that whilst the county maintains an interest, therefore the application should be rightly dealt with by the county council itself. In terms of the actual main principles and acceptability of the development, dealt with within the report. In terms of use and location, these facilities are supporting the fishing lake activity and are ancillary to that use, are considered within their location and position within the site suitable, both in terms of the position but also in design. And conditions are recommended that should that fishing use cease, they would be removed. Conditions are also recommended in the report to deal with the concerns raised by District Council, in particular with regard to permitted development right, limitations, hours of use, and, as I say, a condition requiring removal. So it's recommended that the permission be granted, subject to the conditions set out on page 157 and 158. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction. I'm quite happy that we actually received this application here, and also because the District Council have also put their comments in fully to the County Council. I believe this application's had full and transparent scrutiny. So at least, you know, by both authorities considering it, we have got to a situation where it's been fully scrutinised. It's also true to say that the Parish Council are also supportive of the application. So I believe that from that point of view, I think that as far as the entire operation goes, as much as can be done has been done with this. So I'm quite happy to propose the recommendation. Do we have any speakers or seconders? Councillor Ashley Morris, please.
Just really a brief comment. It's terrific to see that we've allowed, obviously, at some point quarrying. We're now seeing a positive result from that, that's open to the public. It's a good amenity. And I would think the ELDC comments are perhaps unnecessary, but academic. But it's really good to see that something positive and an end game to an application. That was all I want to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to thank Mr McBride, because I actually queried this issue with him prior to Planning Committee in terms of is it appropriate that it sits here for my own sort of safety, if you like, and wanted to make sure things were done properly. I believe, as has already been alluded to, it does. I am quite happy to second the recommendation. My dislike of, shall I say, retrospective planning notwithstanding, but on the whole, I think what the applicant has done will benefit the site and those that use it, and will be a benefit to local people. Thank you, Chairman.
Do you, Councillor Mrs Austin?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I'm highly supportive of this. Just one rather bizarre thought crossed my mind. If for some reason the business fails and it has to be returned to its previous state, how do you do that? Fish and everything? I mean, and any planting and so on that's gone on. In other words, which previous state would they want it returning to? I know it's quite an academic question, but I think we ought to just know. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. The quarry restoration as part of the scheme was to provide it to a landform suitable for fishing lakes. So obviously this infrastructure is supporting that use. I mean, the condition that we've suggested as part of this is to remove those physical works, if you like, but the actual landform itself, the nature of the lakes and the creation of those habitats would remain in place.
Thank you very much. I see no further speakers, so therefore I'm going to offer it to the vote. Proposed by myself, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favour, please show now. Thank you. That is unanimous. But I will say, anybody against? Any abstentions? Seeing none. So therefore that is granted. Well, I suppose I can't say any more business. It's 10:56. All that remains for me to say is thank you all for attending, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Goodbye all. Safe journey all.